Yeah. Luckily, it's over.
Yeah. We see Miz appearing on USA Network Sirens, all the more reason not to check out that show.
That show looks terrible. Even without the Miz on it, it looks awful.
Yeah, and that's saying something, folks. Holy crap. But then we go to Miz versus Sin Cara. I love these random TV appearances he's getting.
And the crazy thing is he's winning them.
I know, right? Because, yeah, and then not to go again point for point, because really about this match, folks, it wasn't even really like a hold-for-hold kind of thing. This was a story-driven match to me.
Yep.
Because Mizdow would try and play...
Miz and Mizdow completely overshadowed the Sin Cara.
Exactly. Because really the story here was Mizdow would try and be the stun double, and Miz would consistently reprimand him until finally it caught up with him. Sin Cara caught him in a roll-up for the win. Now what's interesting here, and I guess because really I would afford this maybe, I don't know what their end game is, maybe it was a matter of time or whatever, I thought Miz was finally going to snap on Mizdow and maybe like pie face him or even punch him or something like that, and then Mizdow was going to retaliate. But he just ended up lecturing him more. Hopefully, they just blow it off Fastlane or even before then. I just want to see Mizdow just retaliate so we can get that pop and we can get on the road to this program. But yeah, Sin Cara does get the win. He's beaten The Miz. So I think within the past month, or at least 2 months, he's beaten Bad News Barrett and The Miz just on random TV appearances. So go Sin Cara. After that... we go to a Bray Wyatt promo. It's so weird how he just cuts into other people's stuff. And I'm like, what's happening? And then, it's a Bray promo. He's introducing himself, presumably to The Undertaker. I mean, this really confirms Bryan and The Undertaker on a collision course. He says, I've been watching you for some time now. You're somebody that you've had people in fear, but that fear turned into love and admiration. But then Bray calls himself the new face of fear. He says the devil is real and he can't wait to see this person again. And he says, I know you're listening. And then Bray turns upside down. And this is a good cinematic shot here because you got all the darkness and everything. And he turns around, or turns upside down rather, and he looks and he says, find me. And he laughs and they go to commercials. So I think Bray, I know you were saying like a criticism is his promos seem to be getting repetitive and stuff. I think for me personally, he is starting to get that spark back a little bit, even if it is just with some of his mannerisms or whatever.
And I agree. I do agree. This was a promo that immediately caught my eye because here's the thing. Like, I didn't know if he was going to all of a sudden, like, now he has a problem with the Miz or Mizdow or Sin Cara. Like, what is going on?
Right.
But as he started talking, I was like, oh my God, he's talking to The Undertaker.
And it's awesome. I love it, man. I love it. You know what? I'm a little bit tentative, like match-wise, what this program will be like. But as far as the promos, I'm enjoying it because I'm wondering how they're going to play it up. Is Bray a guy that once looked up to
I'm going to go
Undertaker?
ahead and say it. I think that these guys having a match, it's going to be better than Brock Lesnar's match with Taker.
Oh, I completely agree with you there. Completely agree.
It might even be better than CM Punk's match with Undertaker.
Maybe. I mean, I think Bray can do it. I have faith in
Bray.
Because the great thing about
these two guys, Bray Wyatt and The Undertaker,
yeah,
they'll take risks, but they won't take unnecessary risks. Like,
exactly. With
the Punk thing when he did the elbow off the top turnbuckle onto the table, like, Taker was like 46, 47 years old at that point. It just felt unnecessary. Whereas with Bray, he, like, the most dangerous thing he's going to do is a senton.
Yeah, and I think this is a matchup that's going to be very heavy on the story, kind of like Cena and Bray was last year. But I think those two, because they're both such great storytellers and understand psychology and stuff, that's why all that unnecessary stuff that you allude to with like the Punk match and everything is going to be just totally unneeded. We're not even going to miss it because I think we're going to be so enthralled by what they're doing in the ring, the story they're telling. I'll be totally sucked in. I'm curious if this will be an angle like where Bray once admired The Undertaker and now he just pities him and feels like I'm the new devil around here. If it's just like maybe he'll play to The Undertaker like, hey, you lost to Brock Lesnar, your magic's gone, and now I just want to wipe you out for good. So I'm curious what direction they're going to go with this. As we progress. But again, we'll get deeper into that as more developments come. For the time being, let's go to Rusev facing Eric Rowan. Rusev comes out, and by the way, folks, interesting thing, when Rusev's making his entrance, it's confirmed the matchup at Fastlane between him and John Cena will be for the United States Championship. So, interesting development that John Cena in 2015 is actually competing for a mid-card title. Wow. I think that
Can't wait for the disqualification.
Yeah, and you and I did talk about that. That doesn't really change how I feel about the outcome, but, if they do it again at Mania for the title, I will say I think that does good things for the U.S. title. Because when you have John Cena, the guy that everybody proclaims, at least within WWE, that he's the greatest of all time, and even John Cena has given himself the nickname, as you said, the face that runs the place, it's a pretty big deal. So go Rusev and go U.S. title. Rowan comes out. But Rusev immediately goes on the attack, immediately goes after Rowan, beats him down, and at one point, he gets him set up in the ropes, and I got mad at the cameramen here because they cut away at first when Rusev hit a super kick, but thankfully we did see it on a replay. And then Rusev gets in the ring, and he puts Rowan in the accolade. The match never really got underway, so there's no winner or loser here. And then, after that, and the ref finally breaks up, Lana enters, and she invites everybody to a special movie premiere. And, because it's Oscar season and you're in for a treat, and she says the film is not your typical fairy tale ending. It will show the future of John Cena and any man that opposes Rusev. And we go to a video package of just Rusev's history of dominance, putting guys like, Ryback, Sheamus, Big Show, Mark Henry in the accolade, and others. And, after that, Rusev's raising his United States title. He is pumped. He's ready to go. The Russian flag starts dropping down, but it gets hung up. It hangs crooked, and the fans go crazy for this, right? I mean, they're just reveling in this misfire for Rusev and Lana. And I'm sure, I don't know if it was intentional or not, which I think is kind of the cool part. But whatever it was, Rusev had great recovery because he immediately goes in the corner, gets the more stationary Russian flag, and he starts waving that around.
Yeah.
So, great. I'm telling you, man.
I'm telling you, man. Whether this was intentional or not, Rusev and Lana recovered in a way that made it even better than if it wouldn't have happened.
Exactly. Rusev just gets it, man. I'm telling you.
Which is crazy because he's only been in the business for a year or two?
Exactly. He has come into his own so strongly. I'm just so proud of him. And honestly, look, here's my thing. With a guy like Rusev and so many other talents, because I am starting to come around to that view, I really don't care.
Oh, he debuted in 2008, so he's a little bit more seasoned than I guess I gave him credit for, but still.
Right. For me, it's not about wins and losses. He could do whatever in this program with Cena. I just want him to continue being this relevant and have this much momentum in the aftermath. And that's all I've been thinking about, because he's just such a great character. So after that, and it's so basic too, because it's just the anti-American stuff. But after that, we get Roman Reigns. He's sitting in the locker room. Daniel Bryan takes a seat next to him. Just this whole dynamic, I just think is so crazy for so many reasons. And he says, "Hey, sorry about what Seth did to you earlier." Reigns says, Rollins is going to get what he deserves because, hey, I don't get mad, I get even. Love it.
This was almost weird though, because this felt. It's hard to say because my initial instinct was, whoa, that felt really heelish from Reigns. But then you kind of see what he does later on in the night, and in hindsight, it just feels like Reigns is about as pure of a tweener as you can have.
Right. And then Bryan says, well, I hope you weren't planning on getting your revenge at Fastlane because Reigns will be, you'll be facing me and not Rollins. Reigns asks if that's a threat, and they both stand up and they kind of go eye to eye. And then Daniel Bryan says, no, that's not a threat. And I don't know if he followed that up with that's a promise or what have you. But I do know that Reigns says after the fact he doesn't care who he faces at Fastlane, Rollins or Bryan. He says he's going to win and go on to WrestleMania. Reigns then tells Bryan to get the hell out of his locker room. And
yeah,
Bryan
that was the heel part right there. That was where I was like, wow, Reigns going heel here. But, yeah, I mean, in hindsight, with what happens in the next match, I think that we can honestly just say he's a tweener who was just feeling particularly pissy at that moment.
And you know what? Good about him being tweener, man. Take care of that business. You know what I'm saying? I don't blame this. And I mean, Seth Rollins versus Daniel Bryan. I mean, what can you say? I love how this match started out because Bryan's working over the arm of Rollins, and at one point he even gets him in a rolling kind of arm bar which, that was really cool. So it was nice, working over the arm of Rollins and kind of formulating a game plan. But then, later on, it just totally forgoes that slow pace and goes right into second gear. Because Bryan gets on the outside at one point because Rollins throws him out. J&J Security kind of isolate Bryan. Rollins hits a suicide dive. So, at that point, the pace just totally picks up. One of my favorite parts in this matchup, personally, Bryan tried going for the knee plus, and Rollins caught him and countered it into a buckle bomb.
Yeah.
And then the kick to the face. The
Vada Kedavra.
The Vada Kedavra. Okay, see, I know I'm always going to misname that, so I'll always leave that to you. The Vada Kedavra. And I love that, though. And he gets
the name of the killing curse in Harry Potter.
Oh, that's so cool. And now that, since we watch this movie together, I can get that reference. That's sweet.
I understood that reference as Captain America.
Exactly. But yeah, great back and forth between these guys here. What's funny, Ash, is I think you, me, and a lot of other fans actually speculated that Orton was going to be the hero of this story, given the name drop earlier in the show. But as you already mentioned, it was Roman Reigns.
And he delivered easily the best-looking spear I have, and I'm not even exaggerating when I say this, I have ever seen thrown by anybody in the WWE not named Goldberg.
Falcon Spear! Yeah, I mean...
Dude, I feel like calling it a spear is an understatement because it felt like a Hanma flying headbutt to the sternum.
You did. You said that multiple times when we were watching it together. He must think he's Hanma. And it was great. Because, it's...
Dude, I'm not even joking when I tell you that he dove from 4 or 5 feet away from Big Show and nailed him and knocked Big Show on his ass about 3 feet back.
Right, it was great. But you know what here though, this is where it gets funny, and this is where I'm glad that with stuff like this I just turn my brain off and not overthink it, because of course I don't have cable, so I always have to share it with other people on these chats, and there were a lot of people that were overthinking it, and they're like, well, why wouldn't he just let Reigns spear him, get the DQ, and then go on to face him at Fastlane, or why won't J&J Security just attack Rollins and have it go down that way? But, regardless, Rollins does move out of the way when Reigns tries to go for another spear, and he takes out, I believe it was Mercury, that's right. Because then Noble tries to come in and hit Bryan with the briefcase, to kind of soften him up. And I like this because Rollins is actually trying to coax Reigns into hitting him. Come on, hit me, let it be me versus you at Fastlane. And I think Reigns was checking on Noble being disposed of, and when he hits the Superman punch on Rollins.
Yep.
So Reigns not only gets a measure of retribution, he pretty much outsmarts Rollins, and I love that, because then Bryan gets the knee, and Bryan gets the win. If I had any nitpick about this main event, Ashton, I wish that Reigns and Bryan would have had some kind of stare down or interaction. But maybe it's better that they didn't do it that way, because we did hear earlier in the show on SmackDown this Thursday there's going to be a Miz TV segment between Roman Reigns and now we know Daniel Bryan.
Right.
His opponent was.
See, and I didn't even catch that, so I'm glad that you brought that up, because like I said, I must have been kind of not paying attention, because that didn't come across my screen.
So, yeah, I think whatever these guys could have done on a Raw, they'll probably do on Miz TV, so that actually gives me something to look forward to for SmackDown. Glad to see, at least in little ways, they're putting their backs into SmackDown, now being on Thursdays, but the stage is set. Roman Reigns, Daniel Bryan, Fastlane winner definitively goes to WrestleMania to face Lesnar, and all I can say is, I don't know, guys. Anybody thinking, oh, this is Raw, this is Daniel Bryan's comeback story? I don't think so, because if Big Show is any indication, if Daniel Bryan eats a spear, I think it's just going to solidify what we all already knew. Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar, WrestleMania 31, so we'll see.
Yep. But Seth Rollins cashes in at the end of the night.
And Seth Rollins cashes in, that's right, baby. But with that
said... You know what's really funny, too, as far as Roman Reigns' popularity goes, is I had the app one tonight, and there were a bunch of polls, and one of them was... Who do you think is going to walk out of WrestleMania, the WWE World Heavyweight Champion? Obviously, I picked Seth Rollins, but he only had 6% of the vote. The other 3 options were Roman Reigns, Daniel Bryan, and Brock Lesnar. And I think Lesnar had like 27%, but Reigns had like 64%.
Wow. So I guess a lot of people, whether they like it or not, really must be thinking that it's Roman Reigns' time. Very interesting. I'll tell you what, though, Ashton. I mean, if you have anything else you want to say, we can get right on to our next segment.
No, I don't think I have anything else to say other than just the fact that spear from Roman Reigns onto the Big Show from the ramp was incredible.
Yeah, it was so good.
I literally have a GIF of it pulled up on my computer. I'm just watching it over and over and just watching the Big Show running towards Reigns, and then he realizes, oh shit, he has a lot of momentum, and then he starts leaning back, and then there's a connect, and Reigns hits him, and Big Show just falls. It's so good.
I have to forgive everybody, because if anybody can hear me laughing, I was watching the same GIF, and I think what got me was Big Show was running towards what? What were you gonna do? What were you gonna do, dude? Oh my god, it's so hilarious. And then your dialogue, like, oh shit, he has a lot of momentum. Like, I can just picture that conversation going on. And oh my god, I'm dying. See, every week anymore on Twitter, we always have this one goddamn segment where I'm dying. Oh god.
It's just Big Show running, and he's not even really running. He's just kind of like stomping his feet while walking.
That's his idea of a sprint.
Yeah. And next thing you know, you can see it in his eyes. He has this look on his face like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. And his body goes from leaning forward to leaning backwards, and then there's the contact, and he just falls.
I could just picture somebody from the Authority being like, Big Show, why were you running towards Reigns? And he's like holding his ribs and he's going, like, first of all, it wasn't running, it was accelerated walking. And second of all, I didn't think about momentum or any of those scientific principles.
For a second there, it looked like Big Show forgot that he left the oven on in his house. That's the kind of running that it was. Like he left muffins in the oven and he didn't want them to burn.
Oh my god, we gotta move on or I'm not gonna have anything left.
Okay, go ahead and move on.